Got my pom poms, man. Got my pom poms. Hey, look, this is the day, man. Look, hey, man. Let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. I'm on cloud nine right now because all of the angst, all of the angst just building up to this game. Just like, man, let's just get this thing over with, man. I was watching people talk all Sunday, from I got up, just listening to them talk. And man, I was just like, let's get this game going, man. I'm ready for this game. And let me tell you, that was a takeout in the back of the woodshed and whoop you. That's what that was.
That was a beatdown.
That was a take you out in the back of the woodshed and whoop you, man. Because look, now I didn't expect that, but I should have expected it. Because when I look, I told you this before. If we are up at halftime, it's a wrap. It was a wrap. And to tell you the truth, at halftime, I was like, okay, this is not going to be another Falcons situation where the Falcons just, Tom Brady just comes back. In the back of my mind, I was expecting Patrick Mahomes to do something. I was expecting, I said, they may do a little something. They may do something here. When they came out and in that third quarter, and they didn't make nothing happen, I was like, this could potentially be over. Then you talk about Cooper DeJean. Man, that interception, that was phenomenal, man. I just watched that over and over again, and how he was in the right spot, ready, reading the eyes of the quarterback, and ready to pounce on the ball. You look very underrated. But man, look, the Eagles, these guys were not prepared for the Eagles, man. I looked at the players. I looked at this. Remember, we talked about this. We said, okay, there was a couple things where the Eagles might not have stacked up. That was coaching, right? That was the quarterback, and what else did we say? And the tight end, right? And the tight end. None of that happened. None of that. Ain't none of that happened. We dominate them in all phases of the game. Every single aspect of the game, they were dominated, man. Look, the Philadelphia Eagles, this is, as an Eagle fan, long time Eagle fan, this is the best roster that I have ever seen put on the field, because there was no weakness at all. I know Jake Elliott came in as a kicker, missing a couple kicks throughout this playoffs and at the end of the season, but he was pinpoint. He was locked in. And this is one thing that we talked about before that happened that we didn't even expect to happen, and that was Saquon Barkley going for under 100 yards. So they sold out to stop Saquon Barkley. And let me tell you, they did a good job at selling out to stop. I think that's the best thing they did. That was the best thing they did. But other than that, Saquon Barkley still ends up as the all-time leading rusher, including the playoffs in a football season. Phenomenal year for him. But the Philadelphia Eagles fly, man. It's just, the championship is just this is. I got my second ring that I'm gonna get. My second, I'll preface this. This is a replica ring, but I'm gonna get the exact same ring that the Eagles get. We're getting that. I'm also getting me a Super Bowl trophy. All right, I'm getting that. That's gonna go on my shelf in the back when we got that. I got some stuff coming. That's on order. And look, man, I'm just excited today because the Philadelphia Eagles proved a lot of people wrong, and Jalen Hurts, man, Jalen Hurts. He proved last night that he belongs in the topic of conversation when you talk about elite quarterbacks in the NFL. Because Jalen Hurts really proved something to a lot of people that were naysayers. It doesn't matter how it looks to win the game, but he even said out of his own mouth, if it needs to happen, I can do it. If it needs to happen, I can do it. Man, just totally excited about this game. I want to hear your take on, what you thought about this game. There's so much to break down and so much to talk about in so many different facets. But this was just like back in the island. You know your grandma would take you outside, and no what my grandma used to do. She used to say, "Go outside and get your switch." Right? I had to go outside, and for those that if you don't know what a switch is, it's a piece of, you go out and break a piece of twig off of a tree, right? So you go and break it off, you take the leaves off of it, and she say, "Go get your switch," and then you would get a beating with that switch, and that's what happened to the Kansas City Chiefs, man. They got the switch and they got beat down. That was it. Pure and simple.
Yeah, I don't even really know where to start. It was definitely a dominating performance by the Eagles, and that's an understatement. I couldn't believe at halftime what had transpired. And you mentioned it going into the third quarter, you still had this belief that okay, Mahomes is going to flip a switch, he's going to turn it around and then mount this comeback, and then next thing you know, Jalen Hurts hits Devontae Smith for that long touchdown. And I texted you.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's over. At this point, in my mind, I'm like, I don't see them coming back now.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Of course, there was still a considerable amount of
Uh,
game left, but the Eagles, they never let their foot up off the gas, right? They dominated in all three phases, offense, defense, and special teams. But where it was most important was in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. What I found that was very interesting and I mean fascinating about the whole thing on the defensive side of this equation for the Eagles was the fact that they never blitzed.
Never
So They
blitzed. Yes,
they,
yes,
they didn't the entire game.
yeah,
They didn't blitz.
yeah,
So they were manufacturing all of that pressure with just a four-man front
yeah.
the entire game. So
Absolutely.
here it is. You have Mahomes. He's snapping the ball within less than 2 seconds. He has like a defender or an offensive lineman in his lap because of the push.
Yeah, yeah,
And the Eagles for the entire game just kept dropping seven.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Now, the second part to this, and you and I, we talked about this when we talked about Andy Reid and when he was with the Eagles and basically how he could never really get over the hump with the Eagles. And you mentioned like Andy, he just was stuck in his own way of doing
yep,
things.
yep.
You really have to take a long look now at Andy, not negating any of the successes that's the success that he's had.
Right, right.
He has three Super Bowls. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's phenomenal.
yeah.
But you also have to take into consideration the Patrick Mahomes factor and how he added to that, to the equation to be able to get those Super Bowls. And what I mean by that is Andy, for some reason, he's adverse to running the ball.
Mm,
I think they said something along the lines of at the end of the first half, going into halftime, they only had three rushing attempts.
yes, yes.
So here it is. You have a defense, they're not blitzing, four-man front, that's all they're doing, and you're not threatening them with the run. So now there was a particular play where they had the two interior defensive linemen. They were sitting over like the A gap. The A gap is like like the nose tackle and the guard, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they bunched in there.
yeah,
And the two defensive ends were spread out. There was big gaps
yeah,
on either side,
yep.
and Kansas City still didn't run.
Didn't run it. Didn't
So
run
all those guys were doing was they were pinning their ears back and attack. All they had to worry about was attacking Mahomes. And you got those, I mean, those guys are just and the thing is too, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the New York Giants defense when, with Strahan and them boys, OC,
human urine.
You're right, you and all those guys where they just and Justin Tucker and
Yeah, yeah,
they was just killing Brady, right? With a four-man front. And that's a recipe. And this is actually a recipe that was created and discovered by Cincinnati a couple of years ago when Cincinnati, for
that's
the
right.
first time, this is when Kansas City still had Hill,
Yeah, Tyreek. Yeah,
Tyreek Hill. And they looked unstoppable. And then for some reason Cincinnati had the recipe to be able to stop it. And then going into the Super Bowl for that year, Tampa Bay mimicked that defense
mm-hmm.
and was able to do almost exactly the same thing that you guys did. 4-man front, seven man coverage. And then it's like the rest of the NFL forgot about that strategy,
That's good.
right? Forgot about that strategy. Blitzing Mahomes killing the blitz
Right.
because no one is building a team that can manufacture pressure just off a 4-man front,
That's right. That's right.
right?
Yeah.
Just a real aside, I gotta say this because that's my team. I see the Rams are able to do that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Rams seem to have been the only team to give the Eagles a run this playoffs,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that aside, it's like going back to Kansas City. Kansas City, they came into this game. They already knew that they had trouble at with the offensive line, right? But for whatever reason, in Andy Reid's mind, he just had this pass happy strategy.
Sandy.
No threat with the run. I think they had like 2 or 3 screens,
Yeah.
right? And they put it all on Mahomes to try to figure it out and get them get them a victory. And when you see a team that's able to hit the quarterback as many times as they did, put pressure on the quarterback as many times as they did, with just 4 guys, it's proof positive that even Patrick Mahomes can't handle and overcome that
Right.
without a significant amount of help.
That's right. That's right.
And I'm not just talking about offensive line help. I'm talking about he needs a running game. He needs
Absolutely.
a running threat. They didn't even play action. Why? Why would they even play action? Because I mean, you guys already know you're not going to run the ball,
Not gonna run it.
right? So it was dominating by the Eagles. Fun fact: going into this game, Vic Fangio, your defensive coordinator, was 0-8
0-8.
against
Yes.
Mahomes.
Yes. Yes. I heard them say that.
He was 0-8, and
Yep.
he got it where it counted, right, with this one. So he figured it out, and if memory serves, like Vic Fangio, he likes to blitz.
Yeah. He's a blitzer. Yeah.
So this goes against his MO, because he figured out, hey, this is how you stop him,
Mm-hmm.
and he did what was necessary in order to stop Mahomes, and it worked.
Mm-hmm.
It worked. Yeah. Andy never adjusted. That was the disappointing part.
Yeah.
They never adjusted.
And I thought Andy was going to make an adjustment because when they played us last time, they had made adjustments, right? And they made adjustments and they came back out in that second half and it was like a whole new different team. So that's what I was expecting. I was expecting, okay, Andy's going to come out, they're going to make some adjustments, they're going to get a couple scores and we're going to be, we're going to be in it. But man, look, I told you what I think is that they actually thought that they were going to win this game. They probably thought, look, we're going to win this game. It's going to be close and we're going to win it. And then when those things didn't start happening, you could look at you could look at their faces and it was like, these dudes are crushed. They're
Guys, they had guys on the sidelines crying.
crying.
They were crying.
I mean, and this was in the third quarter. This wasn't even in the fourth quarter. This was in the third quarter. They looking like they are defeated. And Patrick Mahomes was looking like, I don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue what's going on. And this was a big indicator for me that these guys, the secondary, Cooper DeJean, you got Quinyon Mitchell, you got CJ Gardner-Johnson in that backfield. And look, in garbage time, when we took out our starters in defense, Patrick Mahomes right away scored a deep touchdown to Xavier Worthy, right?
Yes.
Went up and he scored that touchdown. And when I looked at it, I was like, man, our starter's still in. But when I looked at it, it was garbage time. And I was like, that's why they scored. So I said, you know what? I was like, okay, these dudes score. And I was like, okay, I give them legitimately 6 points. Legitimate 6 points is what I gave them. Other than that, it was garbage time. And they scored. And I was like, so what that really told me, these guys closed those gaps so quick, bringing that front four pressure, right? That they had Mahomes just seeing defenders that wasn't even there. He was just like, I got it. And they did it a couple times, which I thought they were gonna do, where when they came out, it was like 1, 2, 3, bam, out, right? So they couldn't even do that because the DBs were locking these guys up. I mean, there was no room for them to get open. So by the time he do boom boom, even if he wanted to get the ball out, he couldn't get it out. He tried it a couple of times. Zach Bond with the pick,
Yeah.
Cooper DeJean with the pick. It was like, and really looking at his face, he was like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, I'm trying everything and I don't know what to do. And again, you made the point. This is Andy Reid, right? And this is Andy Reid, and this is what the Eagles were facing. We just didn't have an elite quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, right? So he has an elite quarterback. He has an elite tight end, right? And then you had some receivers here and there, and a little bit of a running game, and now you could win. When you got an elite quarterback with Andy Reid, you could win, right? But when we had this thing, we had Andy, man. We had Andy for years. This is the Andy. This is the Andy that I know. This is the Andy right here, and this is why we used to get crushed all the time. We would get there and just get crushed because Andy has a one-track mind.
Yeah.
And I expected more screens, right, to Pacheco. I expected more runs, in the gaps. I expected more. But it was like they thought they were going to win the game, and it was going to be a close game, but we're going to win the game, and it's going to be, and it's just, and we're going to make this thing happen. And it just didn't go their way, and they were shell shocked. They were like, I have no idea what to do. These guys are everything we tried. They're stopping it. It's like the game is over. Third quarter, the game was over. And from a fan's perspective, looking in their eyes, the game was over. He didn't need Chris Jones on the side crying, sidelines crying. When the play where Patrick Mahomes had, what's his name, the receiver?
Hopkins.
Yeah. Had him open.
And he dropped it.
Wide open.
Yeah.
Wide open. That was like, I was like, there's your opportunity right there. And then when they go for it on the fourth down, and in our guy, Avonte Maddox,
hit it away. Yeah.
Tap the ball away. Done deal. Just wrap it up. But I couldn't, I still say, and I text you back. I say, not until 0-0s, man. Not until 0-0s. But in the back of my mind, I was like, you know what? It's gonna be difficult for these dudes to try to come back for I mean, 30 some points, and you trying to come back in a quarter? Nah, that's not. It would have had to been a total colossal collapse for that to happen. Yeah. And man, it went down like this. It went our way. This was, for me, I know a lot of people was like, man, this Super Bowl wasn't exciting. It was just, da da da. But for me, man, this was the best Super Bowl ever, man. I loved it. This was like right up my alley, man. I mean, this is what I wanted. And I was intently watching ESPN today and, listening to all the commentators and seeing what they got to say. Every commentator that, didn't pick the Eagles have now said, we got to talk about the Eagles in a different way. We got to talk about Sirianni in a different way. We got to talk about Jalen Hurts in a different way, and now they're backtracking. The only person, it was one person who still, and I expected it, one person who still said he doesn't believe Jalen Hurts is elite. And that was, what's his name? Greg. He played on the Green Bay Packers.
Greg Jennings.
He said, I still don't see Jalen Hurts as an elite quarterback. And I'm like, what does this dude got to do? What does he have to do? But guess what? We don't even care.
Jalen. Well, like I said, we're going to talk about quarterbacks in another segment soon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Break that down.
I definitely want to break that down. And I mean, I want to get scientific with it when we do it, because I think we really need to put quarterbacks in its proper perspective, right? Because the game has, I think, over sensationalized the position.
Mm-hmm.
And we put way too much emphasis, I believe, just from my humble opinion, we put way too much emphasis on that position.
Yes.
In respect to the responsibilities and the dependencies of the other positions, right?
Yes.
When it comes to what equates to success.
Right.
So I think when we talk about it, yes, is it an important position? Yes, it is.
Oh, yes.
Do you need competency and a high skill level of skill in order to play at that position? Yes, you do.
Right. Yep.
But is that all? Particularly when you're looking at the salary cap, should 30%, 40% of your salary cap go to that position?
Right.
No, I don't think so.
That's right. No.
So when you talk about elite, when that guy said elite, it would be important. It would be important to understand what his definition of elite
What is he
is,
saying? Yes.
right?
Yeah.
If he's saying that Jalen Hurts isn't like a Dan Marino or Warren Moon, he's not like a Joe Montana, he's not like a John Elway, which I don't really think John Elway was that great.
Yeah.
That's a discussion for another time.
That
But
that is.
right,
Yeah.
right. But if he's not like any one of those guys, then he's right. Like Jalen Hurts isn't that yet. Could
Yeah.
he possibly get there?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. But then one could also say you have to take under heavy consideration now, are the Eagles failing Jalen Hurts in that regards as to where they're not allowing him to tap fully into his potential?
Hmm.
Again, he's never had consistency.
Right.
He's always had a different offensive coordinator each year.
Every year.
You can't really build, right, a player or particularly a quarterback when you're always changing the scheme.
Right. That's
Not
right.
every scheme is going to fit him. Not
That's
every
right.
offensive coordinator is going to have him in mind when they're putting together their playbook. It's
Mhm.
their way or the highway, and he's the one that has to adapt.
That's right.
And sometimes he has to then acquiesce, okay, maybe this is what's needed in order for the team to have success, then that's fine.
And
That
that's
means I throw less.
right.
Maybe they don't put in plays that I like,
Right.
right?
Right.
But if it's going to help us to get that W, that's the one thing I do like about him. He doesn't complain
No.
much
Yeah.
or at all.
Yeah.
He does what needs to be done in order for them to achieve the goal.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
don't think it's fair right now to say whether, well, I mean, based on the body of work, you can say, hey, he's a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback. Is he elite? Probably not. But we still don't know.
Yeah.
All we know is that when he was in these last two Super Bowls, he outplayed Patrick Mahomes.
Absolutely.
Because he outplayed Patrick Mahomes in the first one, they just lost, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
The defense gave up those points.
Yes. Yes.
But his stats were better than Mahomes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So is that not elite? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Right? So
know,
we'll talk about
Yeah.
it.
I can't wait to do that and really break this down. That's gonna be a great conversation to really determine like what are some of those factors that makes a good quarterback, an elite quarterback, a good quarterback, very good quarterback, elite quarterback. Try to break down what some of these guys are talking about. But yeah, I just think overall, man, this game was just one that I don't know. I'm not gonna say that Kansas City was not prepared. I think they were overconfident and they just had not faced a team that was gonna whoop up on them like the Eagles were hungry, man. Eagles were hungry. The Eagles were dogs.
So I mean, look, we need to also talk about Mahomes a little bit
Yeah.
too. Not taking him away from anything he's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you do look at those two Super Bowls and you wonder, okay, he lost by, I think, over 40 points combined, right? With those, the two Super Bowls they lost.
They lost, right.
When that particular scenario comes up with him where the line is not doing what it's supposed to do, and you got the four-man front and all those other different things. Yes, like we said, Brady has also been in that situation with the Giants and he lost those Super Bowls, right?
Not like that.
But not like that.
Yeah. Not like
Brady at least kept his team in the game and in a position to possibly win the game.
Right. That's right.
With Mahomes, it's like, no.
Yeah.
And when we start talking about these quarterbacks, man, I have an analogy that I like to pull from basketball because there's two specific players two of my favorite players. They're both in the same draft class, right? Allen Iverson and Kobe Bryant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Allen Iverson coming in, he was this phenom. Right? 6 foot, barely 6 foot, 40-inch vertical, dunking over centers. Ended up winning Rookie of the Year, had a killer crossover. No one could stop it. He was just athletically gifted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant, a little bit younger, was also gifted, but not like Allen Iverson gifted.
Right. Yeah.
The difference between the two, Allen Iverson relied 100% on his God-given talent to carry him through his career, and it got him a Hall of Fame career with no championships. And then you have Kobe Bryant where he worked, and he worked like none other, right? He honed his craft.
Yep.
And he beat it till it was, like till it was ingrained in him, so that he was working based off of, like, he made it almost instinctive.
Mm-hmm.
Every move,
Yep.
every pivot, every drop step,
Yeah.
every jump shot, it
Yeah.
was mechanically crafted in order for him to perfect it, and it got him 5 championships.
Yeah.
I look at people like Mahomes, and not to say that Mahomes doesn't put in the work. He
Right.
does put in the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But does he put in that elite work? I don't know. Because I listened to Brady, and
Yeah.
Brady was talking about that Super Bowl they had against Seattle,
Right.
when Seattle was the Legion of Boom, and
Yes.
Seattle had the better team,
Right.
hands down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said there were no weaknesses in the defense.
Right.
He said the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl, he went nowhere. All he did was eat, sleep, and study film.
Yeah.
That was it. Because he wanted to know what were the subtle nuances, what were their tendencies, where can I find just a little bit of reprieve, just a slight chink in the armor,
Right.
where I can maximize it, I can affect it, I can attack it, just so I can continue to push the ball down the field, whether it's 5 yards, 8 yards.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get net positive yards, and I'm studying them to see where I can do that, so I can keep my team in a position to possibly win, and they won.
That's
Yes,
right.
Malcolm Butler did get that interception.
Yeah.
Right? That sealed the deal and prevented Seattle from scoring, because they, for whatever reason, wouldn't give it to Marshawn Lynch.
Don't make any sense.
But Brady still allowed them to stay in the game.
Stay in the game.
To be able to make that play
That's
to
right.
effectively win the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if these quarterbacks nowadays, Mahomes included, are putting in that level of effort, and putting, that level of detail into their study.
Right.
Right. When they do face a stronger, more ominous opponent, that at bare minimum, they're not allowing themselves to fall too far behind and not at least be in a position to win or stay in it come the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. You know what? I wouldn't say that they didn't study. Obviously they did, right? And obviously Patrick Mahomes did. You're right. At that elite level, I don't know. Because also Brady said something also. He said in his preparation, he said the quarterbacks nowadays aren't processing as quickly as they need to. He said by the time he broke the huddle and was walking up to the line, he already knew what the defense was doing. He already knew where the holes were going to be. He already knew everything about when they moved, the little slight movements that they make, that where he was going to place the ball before the snap. But when he broke the huddle, he said he already knew. And a comment he made last night, right? Pinpoint to what you're saying. He's saying the quarterbacks nowadays are not processing the game as quickly as when I was playing and how I processed the game. So I don't know if Brady need to have a QB school or something. Something.
No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. No, that's not it. It's not about, him teaching them what he did or how he did it, Lynx.
Yeah.
You can't teach effort.
That's
you
true.
You can't teach drive. You can't teach desire.
Teach that. Yeah.
You can't teach that.
Yeah.
You gotta just have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You got to have it.
That's right.
You could try to you could preach to these guys until you're blue in the face, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if they don't, they gotta do it when no one is looking.
No one looking. You're
when
right.
no one is giving them praise.
Yeah.
When no one is even acknowledging the effort.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In the confines of their own home, wherever it may be, they gotta be dialed in all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a lot of these quarterbacks, man.
Yeah.
They're not doing it.
You're right.
So,
and go ahead.
No, and this is what I love about the sport.
Yeah.
Is because you can come in and you could have a Jaden Daniels type season.
Right.
If Jaden Daniels isn't doing any and everything this off season to level up, to find out, okay, what did I do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Where are my weaknesses?
Yeah.
And start to limit and mitigate them going into the next season, while also working on maximizing his strengths to make it even more lethal.
Yeah.
The rest of the league's going to catch up.
They're going to catch up.
They are going to catch up.
That's right.
Every time. And it's those players who don't level up.
Right.
They're the ones who they're just a flash in the pan.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. That definitely is correct. And I think that's what happened to Kansas City this game. That's exactly what happened to them because when you look at when you look at Travis Kelce, I'm not gonna I don't know Travis Kelce from one iota, right? I don't know him, but to me, I've seen some clips of them in practice, and he doesn't go hard in practice. I mean, from what I've seen, don't get me wrong, this guy is a Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah, he
But
is.
however, he has some lazy tendencies. And he's had some lazy tendencies since he was in college. His older brother, Jason Kelsey, would always kind of push him, look out for him, kind of, really, really give him that, that drive and that push. And I think some part during his career that really clicked. But lately, I think he needs to retire. I think he needs to retire. It's time to go because he's not there. And I could see in that game, they were relying on this is what we do. We just gonna go out, we're gonna find some spots in the defense, and we're gonna catch the ball, and we're gonna go down, and we're gonna win the game, and we're gonna be Super Bowl champions 3P. And that's what they thought, and that's what got them ultimately crushed.
Let me tell you something. When I saw, they were showing the players' entrances coming into the game, and you had Kelsey coming in with his 70s theme
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm looking at this guy, and I'm like, this guy,
Serious, man.
like he ain't taking this serious, right? He ain't taking this serious.
No.
Really? Right?
Yeah.
You Hollywood now, right?
Yeah, Hollywood, yeah.
When they interviewed Saquon Barkley.
You saw that?
But let me tell you something. When they interviewed him, I said, this guy's locked in.
He's locked in, man.
He is locked in. Like it seemed like he didn't even see the reporter.
No.
Like the reporter here, and he looking like this. And you're like, yeah. And yeah, we just got to do this. And whatever questions he asking, he just trying to answer just enough.
Yes.
To get like, I don't even want to be here right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the minute that reporter's like, thank you for your time, that dude was
gone. He was gone. I saw that too. Yes. Yeah. I saw that. I was like, when I saw, I was like, my goodness. I was
like, these guys intense.
He was intense, and he is ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what I thought too? I said they probably asked Jalen to come out there, but Jalen was like, I'm not going out there. Barkley, go out there.
Yeah.
Take one. Take this one for the team. Go out there and do that. And you could see, man, that dude was locked in. The whole Eagles team was locked in like that.
Right. That's the thing. All of them were like that.
Everybody was locked in.
The thing is, from what I understand, Barkley came in the season and he immediately was able to adopt that leadership role.
Yes.
And they follow in his lead.
Yes.
He didn't have a fantastic game.
Right.
But if you were lie if you didn't think that he didn't have a huge impact in the Eagles' success. Wow. That defense on the Kansas City Chiefs had one goal in mind, and that was to stop Saquon Barkley.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's all they was able to do.
Yep.
Because then everybody else was now able to eat.
That's right.
Everybody else was able to one-on-one coverages galore with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith.
Shoot, man.
Right? And then what was killing them was when they felt like they had everybody, Jalen Hurts would run for
take off.
And slide.
Yep.
And slide. And I don't understand why a lot of, especially the athletic quarterbacks, don't try to get the extra yards.
No,
when you break contain,
right,
and you get that first down and slide, you know how demoralizing that is for the defense?
Exactly. They don't get to hit you nothing.
The Chiefs, they was just like,
that's right.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, don't try to take no hits or nothing like that. You get a little space, you see him come and go down, slide, boom, boom, you done.
Because the psychological aspect of all of it, particularly when you play like that, which is smart.
Yes.
You play, you move the chain, and you set up again.
Mm-hmm.
That one, you trust your offense, you trust your scheme, you trust your game plan.
Right.
And then 2, what you do is you just eat in time. And then 3, you're making that defense tired.
That's right.
Now that defense blowing. They on the field. They got to stay on the field, especially if it was like a 3rd and 8.
Right.
And he rushed and he gets 10 yards.
Yeah.
It's like we was expecting to get off the field. Now we got to stay on the field for another 3 down sequence.
Yes.
And then you just eating up their energy. Then come the 4th quarter, they blow.
Yeah.
They blow.
Yeah. Yeah, and going back to your comment on Saquon and being effective not only through the whole season but in this game as well. Um, there were some key blitz blocks that he picked up.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, when I tell you, he put his body out there. Those are the things. Those are those intangibles that a lot of people don't really realize.
I
But
saw it.
man,
I
some
saw it.
key blocks that
I saw it.
Saquon had on those
He
blitz pickups.
he was effective, right, with the three main criteria of what makes a running back a good running back, right? One, he's you know how to run between the tackles, outside the tackles, getting that positive yards. Two, you know how to protect that quarterback. Three, you can receive, catch the ball out of the backfield, right? That catch down the field where he
Yep.
bobbled just a little bit because it was underthrown,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
He had
That's
to come
why
back for it. Yeah.
he came back and bobbled, but he got some good hands, which is under it was that surprised me a little bit how he's underrated as a pass catcher out of the backfield.
Man, big time.
So yeah, man, he did all of the little things that contributed to the big things happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, overall, the Kansas City Chiefs just got outplayed.
Outclassed.
They got outcoached, um, and they got whooped. And I mean, that's in all, like you said, in all phases of the game. Man, this is just a happy day right now. I'm gonna enjoy this, as we go along. I know we got a ton of stuff to talk about, man. You got all kind of stuff. This QB breakdown. We got the draft. We got all kinds of stuff going on. Free agency.
Yep.
Gonna be things happening. Players moving around and stuff like that. I hadn't heard anything from Kellen Moore yet, but they're expecting him to. I hope he stays, but I don't. Yeah.
Sirianni said, let's run it back.
That's what I'm saying. I hope he stays because if he says, "Look, let's run it back," you see what New Orleans got going on. There's going to be another team that next year is going to be looking for a coach, and then boom, boom. If I were Kellen Moore, I mean, and I know Kellen Moore wants to be a head coach, but if I were him, I would say, "We got this team. We just won the Super Bowl. If I stay consistent here, I'm going to get paid again, right? I'm going to get paid. We run this back. Let's run it back." Run it back and see what is what. He's eventually going to be a head coach. There's going to be coaching vacancies. Coaches are going to get fired next year, and vacancies are going to come up again. But let's run it back and let's see what happens. I mean,
Do y'all have any free agents coming out this
yeah,
offseason?
yeah. We got free agents. We got Milt Williams is a free agent, which is he was beast in the middle. He was the one who stripped the ball, Patrick Mahomes, when Jalen Carter hit him in the face on that one. But Milt Williams, Josh Sweat, is going to be a free agent. We don't know if Slay is going to stay around. Slay may they may bring the young guys up and run with the young guys, and then Slay may be a casualty. Who else? And it's maybe about two or three others that are. But Milt Williams for sure, I would definitely re-sign him. Josh Sweat, I'd probably give Josh a 1 year, but Josh was big in this game. Throughout the season, he disappears. He disappears, but because of them being locked in, he really showed up. 2.5 sacks in this Super Bowl, so he kind of showed up in that game. We could find another edge rusher. We got a rookie that that's come on that could really replace him. But we got some key pieces there. But the majority of our guys are locked up, man.
Yeah, and y'all
The
have
key,
depth. You
yeah,
got
we
depth.
got depth, and the majority of these guys are locked up. The rookies back there locked up. Jalen is locked up. The receivers locked up. Saquon, is good for another 2 years. So I think we run it back. That's what I say. Run
Yeah,
it
man.
back. Let's see what happens.
Howie Roseman is the real MVP, man.
Howie
He's
Roseman he
he's
is the
the
true
real
MVP.
MVP. He is
Yes,
a
man,
genius, the way he put that team
maestro.
together. And then on the flip side of that, for the life of me, I don't understand how this isn't the nail in the coffin for Joe Shane. Like, I don't know why John Mara still got that dude
Get
hired
out of here, man.
as GM. Like, this should have been the ultimate nail in the coffin.
Right,
Like,
right.
if I was John Mara, right? I'm like, Joe, you coming by my place to watch the Super Bowl, right? If the Eagles win,
Yeah,
as soon as that clock hit triple zero,
yeah, yeah.
you
You're
out.
going.
You
You're
gone.
going.
You
Yeah,
gone.
yeah. Don't
This
even
on
go.
you.
Don't even go back to the office. Yeah, you locked out. Yeah, that right there, man, is like, I don't know how he still got a job.
Got to be
Maybe
one
the
of
the the, the
yeah.
future is coming where he does get fired, but man, I don't understand it. That is like,
So he's
that's
still.
crazy. Yeah,
I'm not telling him he's still employed.
yeah, man, I don't understand it myself. Yeah, man. So we got this one. 24-25 go down in the book as the Eagles. And so we'll see. We got a long way to go. What always happens, in these kind of times is players leave. There's egos that actually happen, with players, where it's like, some players. The reason why New England was a dynasty is because all the players was bought into winning. They didn't have the egos where it's like, oh man, we just won the Super Bowl. I was a big part of this, winning this Super Bowl. I need a big time contract. If I don't get this contract, then I'm out. Hassan Reddick was on the Eagles last year. Held out, went to the Jets. If Hassan Reddick, if Hassan Reddick would have stayed and just took the contract, it wasn't like you was getting a scrub contract. You know, you was getting still a top notch contract. If they tag you, you was still getting a top notch contract, bro. Stick it around. I look for me, especially he's been in the league for a little while, dude. I want to win. I want to win. I know you want to get paid. Don't get me wrong. Everybody wants to get paid, right? Everybody wants that security and they want to get paid. But if you want a Super Bowl, also get your Super Bowl and
Let me tell you
then
something.
and then dip.
I spoke to a guy. He played professionally,
Yeah,
and he didn't call no names, but he wasn't a big time player. But he said you would be amazed how many players in the league don't care about winning. They really don't care about winning. A
yeah, that's
lot of
great.
them, they really there. They just trying to get the bag.
Just trying to get the bag. That's
That's
it.
it. They are doing just enough to get the bag.
Yeah, man,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yep.
crazy, man.
So
That's
I mean,
crazy.
with Reddick, you to your point, you would think you're a veteran. You got a chance to get to more rings, add to your legacy. He chasing the bag.
Chasing the bag, and
I because in the for the but to his credit though, he ended up getting traded to the Jets, right? And he didn't set foot in us in the
no,
facility. He's like, no, this wasn't it. This
no.
wasn't like Howie. This is not what I was talking about.
You know
I
how
think
we're not going to set you
Howie
up
screwed
now.
him over on that one.
How are we not going to
Howie,
set you up for greatness?
Howie, Howie set him up. Howie said, you want sign with us? I say,
Right, right. I'm sending you to the Jets.
you can wear green somewhere else then.
Yeah, 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 yeah. How are we not
You want
setting
that
you up for
green? I
success?
can give you green. This the green.
Oh man, yeah, 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 yeah. So man, look, it's gonna be exciting. A lot of exciting stuff's gonna be coming up. With this, a ton of things, man. So I'm excited to be talking about this. I'm gonna enjoy the Super Bowl, and just bask in that. Get all my paraphernalia and be ready to go, man. Because
Yeah.
it's this football season was one, a lot of lessons learned in this football season. I would, as a fan of every team, you want to win, right? You want to go to Super Bowl and you want to win. We did that this year, but you don't know, man. After those first 4 games of the season for the Philadelphia Eagles, but we went on our bye in week 5, and we were 2-2, and everybody was getting fired. Nick Sirianni was getting fired. Jalen Hurts was a bum. It just wasn't happening. The team's not clicking. How you could have all of this, and I think during that bye, and this is what the players said during that bye, they had a player to player meeting, and then I think what happened also is the offense with Kellen Moore. They said, you know what, this is a running team. And we are going to focus on the run, and we are going to, scale things back, with Jalen throwing the ball, and we're going to run this ball. This is going to be our identity. And I think that's what changed the season around for the Eagles. That changed the season around, and I mean, they was unstoppable. That's the formula. And so, we will see. Of course, they're going to have to make some tweaks, and everybody's already studying this film and seeing what's this and seeing how to beat. That's how it is every year. They want to see how to beat the team that was the champions. And so, it's going to be interesting going into next year, seeing what happens. But fly Eagles fly, man. That's what we doing right now.
Well, I mean, let me officially, congrats,
Yeah,
congrats to your team.
appreciate it.
This is it's you definitely need to soak this in, celebrate it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. It's how many have you seen? How many Super Bowls
So
have you
three.
seen? Okay.
So the Eagles. So we went with is it three or four? So Andy Reid. I've seen.
How many have you seen you got your team won? How many have you won? You just won two, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Because I
yeah.
know Andy Reid went to one and then
And then
you lost
Sirianni.
one,
Yeah,
Sirianni, right?
Sirianni went to
Right.
one. Yeah, and then
Then Doug, before that, Doug Peterson
and
won
Doug
one.
Peterson won. Yeah, yeah. So we've been to a couple Super Bowls. We lost,
Hmm.
but we won those too. So
Yeah.
you know, yeah,
Yeah. No, man. Don't
yeah.
take it for granted.
No, no, no,
Can't take it for
definitely
granted.
not. I know, all things gotta bounce your way and things gotta happen. Yeah, you could have a dominant team and all this stuff like that, but look at Detroit,
Look at
right?
Detroit.
Everybody had them as lock, stock,
And you
and
know what's
done.
sickening too? Like when you got a team like Detroit,
Yeah,
because I kind of feel this way even with the Rams, even though I don't put the Rams, even though we had a close game with you guys, I still didn't think we were a better team than you guys,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I got you. Yeah,
But I look at Detroit and they gotta feel sick because
they
if they were in this Super Bowl, you would think they would have been able to probably do the same
do
thing,
the same thing.
do the
Mm-hmm.
exact same thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That's gotta be sickening
Yeah, that's that. I know
because
that.
now that window,
Yeah,
it's so fragile, right?
yeah,
Because now they lost all their coordinators.
yeah, yeah.
So can't really envision it being exactly the same.
No, no.
It's such an unknown now what it's going to look like for them next season. Even though they got some talent on the team,
Right.
you know, it ain't all about just the talent.
No,
You
no.
got to have the right people,
Yeah,
right? Making the right decisions
yeah,
in
yeah.
order to maximize the talent.
Yeah, that formula got to be right, man. I
Got to be
remember
just right.
I remember talking to a Detroit fan not too long ago, and I was like, "Man, you guys are tough, man. You guys, this was before the playoffs, and I was like, man, number one seed, you guys are tough. I don't want to meet you guys, et cetera, et cetera." Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. We would have whooped that behind too, man. We was gonna whoop that behind because we was gonna get to Jared Goff, and we was gonna rattle him. We was going to rattle him up. I think, but I know we would have whooped that behind. It would have been good to meet them because then it would have been like no excuses because now I know Detroit fans gonna have an excuse as oh well we got knocked out and this and this and this and whatever and we didn't really meet you guys and etc. So anyway, it don't matter.
It would have been a close game.
Yeah,
I don't know for sure. I know I said in a previous podcast that Detroit would have won, right? I
yeah,
was kind of, yeah, I was confident in that. But it would have been a toss up, I believe.
yeah,
It
yeah.
would not have been what you guys
Not
did
like this.
with
No,
the
not
Chiefs
like not like
because
this.
Detroit masks Goff's deficiencies very well with the run.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So y'all would have had to
Yeah,
respect the run
that
game.
run. Absolutely.
And they would have, if they did a good job, and because, it could have gone either way. If they did a good job of keeping the defense off balance,
Right.
not knowing when they were going to run, when they were going to pass, and they are so lethal with the pass with the play action, and they got good guys on the outside,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so it would have been a game. I think y'all went like looking at the matchup again.
Yeah.
You guys stack up.
Yeah, yeah, it's
You
some good
guys,
matchups.
yeah,
Matchups for matchups is
yeah,
is definitely some good matchups. So I think the NFL is gonna, the NFL is gonna be. They always have some intriguing matchups how they schedule their games and stuff next year and in the next year based on what happened, in the playoffs and all that stuff. So I expect to see Detroit. I definitely expect to see them in the regular season and see how all that stack up. But again, it's not gonna be the same because both of their coordinators are gone.
no, yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's gonna look different. So and that's how it is across the board. So yeah, man. So this was good. This was good. This was good. So we'll pick up on the next one. But for right now, I'm flying high, man. Flying high.
All right, man.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Later.